good evening, Indiana. Welcome to this special presentation here from Progressive Indiana Network. My name is Scott Aaron Rogers, host of the Who's Left podcast, and I am with Jackson Franklin tonight. Jackson is running for Congress in Indiana's 5th Congressional District. And he's going to take your questions here live tonight. So get those in. We are on YouTube. We look like we are having a problem with our Facebook stream. So we are going to go ahead and try and fire up another one that may move the actual URL around for you. So if that's the case, I apologize. It should be still streaming on the Who's Left Facebook page. So if you have a specific link to a Facebook event, I hope it's going there. This happened to me the other night. It is a Facebook issue, but you can ask questions on YouTube. You can ask questions on Facebook Live. We are live on progressiveindiana.net. The chat is open there as well. So we hope to see you and get your questions. We are also on Instagram Live tonight, if that is your streaming platform of choice. Given that a shot this evening. Anyway, listen, enough of me. People didn't come here to see me. They came here to talk to you, Jackson. Why don't you introduce yourself to the good folks out there?
Well, first off, Scott, thank you so much for having me yet again. And also, thank you guys for listening and tuning in. I'm Jackson Franklin. I'm a combat medic in the Indiana Army National Guard. I'm a paramedic. I've worked on the ambulance. And yes, I'm running to replace the fascist Victoria Spartz. I've been called younger, angrier Bernie Sanders of Indiana, grassroots progressive campaign, fighting for things like Medicare for all, getting money out of politics, abolish ICE, and many of the progressive platforms and policies that you'd expect at the moment of fighting back against fascism. In the fight for democracy and fascism, we're not meeting them halfway. We are fighting for democracy unapologetically, and that's why I'm excited about this race. We're very optimistic. We have a revolutionary optimism and love going on throughout this campaign, so we are quite hopeful going forward.
And again, asking for questions out there on YouTube, on Facebook Live, on progressiveindiana.net, wherever you're at. Get those in, queue them up, and hopefully we can get to everybody on that's in the chat tonight. But if not, thank you anyway. We really appreciate you being here with us and viewing us tonight. I understand, Jackson, while we're still waiting for folks to get in and get settled, that you had an in-person town hall in Kokomo today, and it was a great time. Do you want to talk about that a little bit? Maybe talk about what was the best question you got today?
Right. So at this point, we've almost had a town hall in almost twice in all 6 counties of the district. Keep in mind, Victoria Spartz has only had 2, and that was last year. So we're almost at 12. Actually, we're at more than 12, but we're almost at at least 2 in all 6 counties. So today we were in Kokomo. Great town hall. We had about, I want to say, like 20-ish people or so. And then great questions asking about, healthcare, immigration, ICE, money in politics, all the things you'd expect out of a good progressive crowd, strong Democrats and UAW workers, former Army vets or, current Army vets. And nurses that got laid off during their time, like thanks to the Trump administration that's cutting and these, consolidation of these large hospital, like private, companies, these hospitals that are like huge conglomerates that are shutting down these rural hospitals. But one of the questions that I was asked today is, how can we win in Indiana? They said, hey, we live in somewhat of a red state. What's your plan as someone who's running as a progressive? How do we win over these voters? And my response is and was, we do not live in a red state. We live in a gray state. If did not vote was a candidate, they would have won all across the ballot last time around. Indiana ranks 50th out of voter turnout. So we got to ask ourselves, why are people not voting for Democrats? We know the Republicans are going to shoot you in the face. So why is it that people don't think about it? Why do people not want to vote for Democrats? It reminds me of a quote by Reverend Al Sharpton when he ran for president back in 2004. He said, there are people, there are, forces in the Democratic Party that move further and further to the right every election year in the pursuit of a winning strategy, all in the hopes and with the presumption that progressive forces and people of color will voluntarily turn into invisible people. I've spent this campaign, as well as many of our campaign staff, we've been talking to those so-called invisible people who don't see themselves in their Democratic politicians or Republican politicians, people who don't see themselves in the party, and they don't see themselves in the legislation that gets passed by our Congress. People feel like they don't have a home. We're politically homeless because when we have a far right-wing party, and then the opposition is a right-wing party. And both of them are owned by corporate donors. Now, this campaign, the way we're going to win is we're uniquely set up to be like, hey, we are a grassroots campaign. We're not owned by Wall Street. We're not owned by big pharma, big health insurance, whatever, you name it. We are fighting for the working class people. We should be fighting for the working class, not the donor class. I want to get rid of the Epstein class, the parasitic elite that is leeching onto our working class and like stealing money out of our wallets. So we have the worst wealth inequality in the history of this country. And what I think Donald Trump and the Republicans did so well, and why they won the last election as well as 2016, is he said, "You are hurting. I am listening to you. But the cause of your pain is the trans people. It's the immigrants." Now this is the part where it splits, right? Like he says all these dangerous minority groups, right? Cause your pain. What we Democrats got to do, the way we're going to start winning, other opposite of what we did last election. We were like, oh, inflation, what are you talking about? This is the greatest economy ever, which may be true. There's a lot of good domestic policy, but we're going to win when we say, you know what? You are hurting. I am listening to you, but it's not whatever they want to say, that the scapegoat minority group. It's not trans people. It's not women. It's not immigrants. There is a dangerous minority in this country, but it's not the one that Donald Trump tells you about. It's the top 1%. It's the billionaire oligarchs that break down our unions, that send your jobs overseas, and the ones that lobby our politicians to make a tax code that works for them and nobody else. That's when Democrats are going to win. That's why I believe we're going to pull in non-voters to flip this election. And I think people are tired of politics as usual when it comes, especially in Indiana. Like, we've been under Republican control for more than 20 years now, my entire adult life. So obviously, unless I missed the bus for the huge grassroots movement in Indiana, we have been doing the same old tired playbook time and time again. And it's Einstein's definition of insanity. If you keep doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results, that's insane. So how about we mix things up, fight for the working class and not the donor class? I can say things like, I support Medicare for all. That's because, unlike Victoria Spartz and some of my opposition, I'm not taking money from big health insurance. I can just listen to the people at my town halls and all across, I have eyes, I have ears, I can see what's morally right, and I can listen to people, and I could, say the popular ideas that we're all thinking, right?
So, all right. Thank you, Jackson. It really, I appreciate what you're doing out there. Listen, for fear of coming off as like partial in this, and we are trying to provide just a platform for everybody. I really appreciate somebody filling that lane. It needs to be done 100%. So thank you for running that kind of campaign. Now let's hear. No one wants to hear from me though. They want to hear from you about their questions. So let's start in the chat over on YouTube, where the first question is this: the Boxcar Adventurer asks, "Hello, Jackson. Does your campaign still support training citizens in defensive protest methods?"
Yes. Next question. No, I'm just kidding. So yes, we have been giving these protest aids, and like, hey, everyone has a role. Like, especially if things escalate. Like, here, I'm from Muncie, so I'm a Munsonian, or as the Ball State kids call us, moguls. And we've been giving training to the both the Muncie community and the university students, how to protest effectively, how to get your point across. And if things do escalate, hey, have your protest medic. Have like here, don't spread milk or whatever on CS gas or whatever. Like that makes it weird. Like use water. And there's many other things like, hey, have you thought about like all these different methods of like protesting and combating against the rise of fascism in this country. So yes, short answer, yes, we are still doing that. Now we have like passed it off to more other groups because we're focusing on larger things, but we also share their information like they do, and we want to spread that out across the district and across the state so people can be informed on like basic tactics. Like if you're a marching protest and you notice a barricade in front of you, be unpredictable. Like like it's really hard to like, hey, just have like change path, easy. All right. Get the point across. You don't have to just like stop your movement. Redirect, make them not sure of your entire movements. But yes, we are doing that.
Yeah, thank you. And I'm just going to interject here, like things like No Kings. We have another No Kings protest coming up here March 28th, right? Things like that are great. That is a great way to get large numbers of people involved. But I don't think, like as to what you're saying, that we're not going to defeat the fascist movement in this country without some disruption. And disruption is different than violence, if anybody's trying to imply.
MLK was
that.
disruptive,
Yes.
like
yes.
MLK, what he did was not legal. Like he was like he was a peaceful protester, but he was disruptive, like, blocking streets, getting in front of government buildings and not letting politicians in. Like just having a sit-in, like you go into your state house and you just like, no, we're not moving, man. Like, you're like, what are you gonna do about it? That kind of stuff, like disrupt. Like they're not going to notice you. Like the first No Kings, which I love No King. It's a great organizing tool for people that are mobilized. It's good to mobilize people. The real trick is organizing people and for continued action.
Yeah.
So yeah. So like the big beautiful bill, so-called, I'd call it the big billionaire bill, it passed just like nearly 2 weeks after the first No Kings protest, which was the largest protest in American history up to like for a long time, like the modern American politics. So they weren't listening to us. We did letter writing campaigns. We called our senators. We called our state reps. Our Congress reps, right? And they weren't listening to us. So what's next? Like it doesn't end there. Like there's more continued action and more work to be done.
So thank you, Jackson. Now on YouTube, this is more of a process. We're talking about people in the streets now. Well, let's talk about actually getting to Congress and using the tools of power. On YouTube, MX The Light says, when, not if, Dems take control of Congress and the White House, would you like to see statehood granted to Washington, D.C. and Puerto Rico?
100%. Absolutely. I think, well, actually, I would think we have a vote on it, like a referendum. Because, like, if Puerto Rico, like, I do not believe in colonialism. I do not believe in imperialism. If Puerto Rico chooses statehood, let them be a state. If they want to be independent, like, I don't care. Like, I wish the best for them. Let's be partners, to make a cohesive partnership. But like, yeah, and obviously the Republicans, they're racist. They don't want 2 Hispanic senators from Puerto Rico, and in DC. So like, if they got statehood, think about the Senate. But like, the Senate is just so rigged already because it's like not population. Like, you can control a majority of the Senate with just 16% of the population of America.
Yes,
that's a majority. So like you got what, Wyoming, Alaska, Idaho, Montana, like all these like tiny states that have -3 people in them, and then you can stack them up. You stack them up with like New York, Pennsylvania, Michigan, California, and it's like, yeah, the House of Representatives. Yeah, so yeah, 100%. I think that we should not have like territories anymore. I think they should either be a state I mean, if they vote and like actually we we all came together in a free and fair election, we like the current system now. Okay, weird choice, but you do you, bro. Like, you know,
Yes,
I
yes.
don't think that they're gonna do that. I think they've been calling for statehood, and you look at the polls, they've been calling for. There's actually a strong independence movement there, so have a debate and talk about that. So I would have a referendum. So 100%.
All right, excellent. Here's another one from the Boxcar Adventurer on YouTube. And they say, what efforts can we take to walk back or undo the steps taken to implement data centers in our communities, protecting our natural resources with an economic focus on Hoosiers having real jobs?
So I am against data centers, hot take, but I think we need to halt all further construction of data centers, especially in the state of Indiana, until, well, we need to have what are these data centers actually doing? They're literally trading your online data to all like these different, like they're selling it out, and they're destroying the environment along the way. So I think we need to completely halt the construction of any further data center until we can have a renewable process to do that, and an online safety bill of rights, basically. So like what the EU has, they have protection, like online protections. Like they're not selling your information without your permission. And all it's like the EU, like they have a whole bill of rights. Companies cannot do that. We should build on top of that in America. We don't have anything like that in America. They are just freely trade. Like they don't even have to ask. Barely. Like they like, hey, you accept cookies on this site? Boom. And then we trade it out to freaking Raytheon, Boeing, Lockheed Martin, Palantir, like all the boogeymen. And then so yes, we need to make sure we do that. As far as jobs, hey, I'm a big fan of the Green New Deal. So these data centers are destroying the environment. Every like one chat GPT prompt or whatever, dump out 7 water bottles is somewhere I've seen. But we need to have renewable energy jobs, have Green New Deal all across this country. Think about the New Deal under FDR back in the 30s and 40s. We could employ like hundreds of thousands of young people building these big solar farms, wind farms, hydro, nuclear, like all these things come together. America should be leading the front in this industry, but no, we're outsourcing it to places like China and Canada and the EU, because what, the fossil fuel industry has like dominated our lot, like the lobby industry has dominated our politics. It doesn't have to be that way forever. So we need to move to a more renewable society. We can completely transform our energy system and save the planet along the way and get jobs.
So thank you. Here's one. This is from Civic Impact Network, IN, and I think this might be a subtle dig at one of your primary opponents. It says, are you from District 5?
Yes, next question. Yes, I live in Muncie. I've lived in Muncie my whole adult life. Yeah, I love the city. We got a lot of work to do. I love the district, and yes, it's more than just one actually that do not live in the district. Like there's one where they're from Fort Wayne, and there's one that is like in Andre Carson's district. But
yeah, Jackson, real quick, I don't know what happened. This happened to me during my live show this morning, but your mic just got crackly, so you might want to unplug it and plug it back in or something real quick while I filibuster for just a little bit. Is it just me?
Yeah, I hear it from you. Wait.
I don't know. Maybe can the people in the chat, some of whom are good friends, tell us, how does Jackson sound? How do I sound? I think Jackson just got super crackly.
I think it's both of us. I think it's a system because I hear it from you.
Oh, okay. Well, we may be having some technical difficulties. Jessica Boucher on Facebook says it's Jackson.
How about now? I don't plug my mic.
Yeah, no, that's not great at all. That's even worse. We are going to let, hopefully, Jackson get that taken care of here. And I'm going to use this opportunity to briefly if I may ask for some support here on Progressive Indiana Network. We are putting out a lot of content every week for progressives, by progressives in the state of Indiana. You know, really trying to pop that right-wing disinformation bubble that we live in. There's hate radio all over the place. Every little town in the state has their own little radio station that plays high school sports, gives you the school closings, and then spends the rest of their time playing hate radio. We've only got a handful of companies that own all the TV stations in the state. We've there's the entire right-wing podcast sphere that is out there with support from the billionaire class. We don't have that. We work for you, and we could use your help. So if you can, head on over to progressiveindiana.net. Help us out with a paid subscription. You can sign up for as little as $5 a month. It's $50 for the whole year, so that's a couple months free. And again, it helps us develop an information environment in Indiana where we can push back on the right-wing grift and bring news and politics that really matters to you, the people. And listen, even if you can't afford it, please just subscribe. You can do that for free. We don't paywall anything. We're not going to make you give us money for important news and content in the middle of a political crisis. So if you can, help us out with paid subscription. Jackson, you still crackling over there?
No, it's still cracky. I still hear you like cracking out.
Huh. Well, yeah. I don't know. Does the chat think I sound okay? They say George Sullivan Davis on Facebook says Jackson is full of lightning. Maybe that's what's going on.
I'm shocking
it. Maybe it's.
I tried refreshing and it still didn't work.
Oh man, that sounds terrible. Maybe try losing the mic and see if just your phone mic will work. It might not be the best audio quality, but it's going to be better than this. So hopefully we can get this sorted out.
This is no mic.
That's no mic. Jeez. Cracklin Jackson, says George Sullivan Davis on Facebook. Did you already try leaving the studio and coming back in?
Yeah, I'll do that. I refreshed it, so yeah, I kind of did something similar.
That sounds bad. And again, I want to check with the folks there on YouTube and Facebook Live there at Non-Progressive Indiana Net. Do I sound okay? Tell me in the chat if I sound all right. Am I taking crazy pills? Am I wrong here? So you know what? This is the establishment. They don't want Jackson's message to get out. That must be what's going on here. Maybe. Thank you, Terry. Terry tells me my audio's fine. So hopefully we can get Jackson back on here. Whatever's going on, we can get that rectified. And yeah, it could just be a bad internet connection on Jackson's end. Jackson, how do we sound now?
It still sounds bad.
Oh, and you still sound bad too. Oh, that is disappointing. Well, geez, I don't know how I want to handle this. I will try and filibuster a little longer here, maybe get us to the 30-minute mark, see if we can't get this fixed by then. Are you, oh, you say you're on your phone, right? So that might be a network issue for all we know.
I switched between service and Wi-Fi, and it still hasn't changed.
Oh, no. You sound good. That's better.
Oh, just random. All right.
Okay.
That's random.
Yeah. All right. Well, whatever it was, the gods have smiled upon us now. And let's see. I want to scroll back up here through the comments because there's a lot of a lot of good ones here. But what are actually relevantly political? Here we go. MX the Light. again on YouTube, asks, what are your thoughts on the sub-minimum wage? Many servers, bartenders, and other nail salon stylists have to rely on tips because the $2.13 an hour sub-minimum wage hardly covers taxes. What do you think about the tip minimum wage specifically here, and then the minimum wage in general, which is still $7.25 since 2009?
Right. So hopefully the audio stays with us. I don't know if it being vertical or horizontal had any difference or impact on it, but with the sub minimum wage, yes, like we need to join most of the developed world and not have like this. We need to phase it out. We also should have a living wage for all workers. We need to make sure, like, what this campaign is advocating for is to have a $25 minimum wage and have a phase out, through that sub minimum wage, to make it to where they're getting paid at enough to live, to catch it, like have the same, just get rid of it. These employers, they brag about record profits every single year, but then they're not paying their workers. They're like, oh, let's leave it to tip, the tip system. We gotta, if you want to have tips, but on top of that living wage, sure. But like that's at the customer's discretion, I suppose. Here, I'm gonna try to.
Yeah, and they don't do that in, say, Europe. Folks that we typically think of as tipped employees here in the United States, like servers or whatnot, they actually get paid a regular salary over there. And I've not been to Europe myself, but I understand if you go as an American and try and leave a tip, they're like, "The hell are you doing? We don't need that. Like, this is a real job. I can make ends meet doing this." So that is a thing we can do here for sure through things like better policy. Now, I guess let me stay on the lines of minimum wage. Like, what should it be? I'm going to have Kyle Rourke from the 9th District here for one of these town halls next Sunday at this time. And I just saw a social media video from him talking about how the minimum wage is too low, and he suggested $12 an hour. Is that's
enough? Gross. That is absurd. That is absurdly low, and that is basically like the Republican compromise. I don't know who this guy is, but so like basically, all right. So 70% of the nation wants it at least to be $17 a minimum wage. But the thing is, like, it's up to us as politicians not only to fight for what's popular, we also got to make popular what's right. Like Bernie Sanders in 2016, he was fighting for Medicare for all, even when it was only at like 49%, 50%. And then look, now it's also another thing that's at 70%. So if the minimum wage stayed on track with the workers' productivity since the 50s, the minimum wage would be something like $40 an hour right now, which we're not calling for at the moment, but we can at least have a $25 minimum wage. Like, we are working harder now than back then. We are less unionized. We have these right to work for less laws all across the country. So having a $12 minimum wage means they're still okay with people working 40, 50 hours a week and not being able to provide for themselves, not being able to, put food on the table for their kids, pay rent off. It should at least, like, I'm saying 25. All right, like 25, let's meet in the middle. Let's go like 20. Like anything less than that is like you're an extremist. Like, what are we talking about? You want people to work and not have enough to live? Like, I don't know. That's insane to me.
Yeah, no, and it is certainly true that the minimum wage has not caught up. Well, let me ask you furthermore. Say whatever number we wind up settling at, it needs to be raised from where it's at now,
and tie it to inflation, so that way we don't have to keep revisiting this problem every few years.
And that is what I was going to ask. So here's kind of a fun one. Now she says this isn't a question, but I'm gonna use it to ask a question. So Liliana Young, who is a candidate for state house down here in the Bloomington area, says, "Would Jackson agree to an ice bag punching contest?" I believe this is in reference to a social media video you made a few weeks ago where you were punching a bag of ice, obviously in reference to these raids that are going on in Minnesota. Now, Tom Homan says they're pulling out of Minnesota, and hell, some of them are coming here and setting up shop
They're
in
setting up in
Carmel,
our
in
district,
your district.
in
So
Carmel.
let me get your thoughts on that.
So yes, all right. So on that video, I am so glad we did it on take one because that was like a half. I'm not gonna lie. All right, it was kind of like a flimsy punch. Like, all right, I'm just gonna punch it a couple times. I'm turning to the camera. So grateful that like we nailed it on take one because it was like the very first punch just ripped that bag in half. I was like, oh my gosh, I did not expect that. So I was like in my whole head that whole time. I was like, I cannot mess this up. I cannot mess it up. Say the bit. Say the bit. So for to answer your question, oh yeah, that would be so. Let's do a fundraiser to like have legal, like lawyers, immigration lawyers. Let's make a fundraiser. Like, hey, $20 or 30, $50 to get in. You punt who can, I don't know, something like that. But on top of ICE, yes, we should not. Oh, let's reform the Gestapo. We need to defund these mass federal agents that are lynching and terrorizing our people on the street. No, we need to abolish the Gestapo. Like these people are insane. They're just henchmen. They're the brown shirts. Like to me, like the Democrat, like Chuck Schumer and like the people on the Democratic side that are like more conservative, in leadership, it's absolutely insane to me that that's not on the table. They're like, guys, body cameras. Yeah, in an age where they are recording themselves while they shoot you, I know what'll fix it. Let's have a body camera they can turn off. Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, of course, Jackson. The Gestapo needs to be producing these snuff films that we have to all keep watching from every angle imaginable. Like you said, I think, yeah, you can't train that out of organization like that, which essentially is acting as secret police. Now, listen, let me ask this. Along these lines, we talked about this morning on Who's Left This Week, every Sunday, 10:30, Progressive Indiana Network. We had a segment where we discussed ICE, and one of the articles we discussed was an NBC News poll from this past week. It said something like 29% of the population supports abolishing ICE, 29% of the population supports keeping them in their current form, and 43% supports reform. I guess, what does that mean if we can't abolish ICE? Once you're in Congress, the votes aren't there.
Yeah.
What is a reasonable compromise? What is something we can get over the finish line?
Yeah. So our current ICE budget. Oh, I've seen other polls where it's over 54% of the nation wants to like limit like the way it depends on how you ask it is like you get completely different answers. Like want it to be severely capped or brought down from where it is. But our current
reform is a very broad term. It could mean all sorts of things. Yeah.
So our current ICE budget is $85 billion. So that is more than the entire Russian army, which would place it around 6th or 7th place on the military scale. Like all the world's militaries, it's a rank between like 6 and 7, right? So what we need to do, and like that's turning inwards to us. And what do you want to do with that money? So like if we cut and just the 2024 or early 2025 budget, I don't even think it cracked $1 billion. I think it was like on that cusp. So they way jacked it up, way too much. And basically, the compromise position is just to get hey, abolish or fund it more. Let's meet in the middle. Let's well, I don't want to meet in the middle, but if the votes are not there, like it depends on how much we win Congress by, is what I keep, if we win by a lot, oh yeah, we're not listening to the fascist. But if we just win by a little bit, all right, we can go to the 2024 budget and, also have all these rules and like due process, because there's more than 1,200, actually it's way higher now, but I remember last month there was a number where 1,200 ICE detainees went missing. These were like without due process. Like they got apprehended. Some of them are literally American citizens. And then DHS just gone. Like we don't know where these people are. One of them was found in a hospital paralyzed. He wasn't paralyzed before. They tortured him. They tortured this guy. I don't remember his name. I had a video about it like a month ago. But yeah, like they're finding that they're like Kilmar Abrego Garcia was literally wanted by the El Salvadorian government, and they sent him to CCOT prison, a literal torture facility. So,
Yeah.
and they're still doing it. They're doing it all across this nation. They just had I believe it was Arizona. Please fact check me. There was a 1-year-old girl who had a temperature of 104, which is quite like that's
Yeah.
deathly for a 1-year-old. And the father was begging the ICE agents, please take her to let's go to the hospital together. I'm her dad. Minors have to have their parents for consent medically, right?
Right.
So the ICE agents were like, no, you're staying here in this ICE detainee facility, which looks like Dachau, literally. It's like structured the exact same. And these 2 grown adult men, ICE agents, masked, brought this little girl to a hospital. They were like, oh, she needs to take these antibiotics like pronto. Like she's like on the cusp of death. They get back to the ICE facility. They don't give it to her. They throw it away and they just give her Tylenol. And then she like by the miracle of whatever is like she barely lived. She almost died. Now that is a form of cruel and unusual punishment for what? Well, for what? You came here without papers. You didn't papers please hard enough. So that's absurd. Yeah, we need to get rid of this. Yeah.
Well, okay. So let me ask Jackson. This is something folks talk about. And you mentioned it. A lot of these agents, they have committed crimes. A lot of the Trump administration have committed crimes. If Democrats take back Congress, what are we to do with these folks? I mean, I remember in 2009, after Obama took office, we were talking about what to do with the war criminals who lied us into Iraq. Obama said, we're not going to look back. And the people who did those things never were held accountable. And I think you could trace a straight line from that to the Trump administration getting off for the crimes they committed in the first term and January 6th. Draw the line to now. They're operating with impunity. What do we do?
We need to have second Nuremberg trials in this country. The first ones, back after we tried the Nazis, after the Holocaust, and after World War II, massively failed. But we learned the lessons from history. Like, overwhelmingly, most Nazis got away with the Holocaust. That's just an objective fact. We got to make sure in the age of the information age, where everyone has a cell phone and we have the most advanced technology in human history, of course, we can track down these people. We got to make sure that justice is upheld for the martyrs of this Gestapo agency. For Renee Good, for Alex Preddy, for Liam Ramos. So we got to make sure that we uphold the rule of law, and we got to impeach all of these criminals for more ways than just immigration, but like the insurrection. They literally tried to overthrow a democratic election throughout the country. The fact that I don't believe in the death penalty. But big but I would never do that. I would absolutely, because it kills innocent people. But we did hang Nazis. George Washington shot traitors. I don't think that should be there. But on the same instance, am I emotionally understanding the people that are there? Perhaps. So I do think that hey, I don't even believe in I think we should have rehabilitation centers. Not we should get rid of the for-profit prisons and just have what Finland has. It's hey, if you're not ready for society, then you stay here maybe even up to life. I think if you try to overthrow democracy and you literally want to do ethnic cleansing, I don't know how we're going to rehabilitate you. I think you need to stay in the prison cell for the rest of your life, you know?
And well, listen, the Constitution calls for the death penalty for treason. I think that's the only time a specific punishment is mentioned for a specific crime.
There's only one way we stopped Hitler. We had to literally, we didn't ask him. We didn't like, oh, well, like the Nazis have to wear the body cam. There has to be a combat photographer next to all the Einsatzgruppen. We got, like, no, we hung them. Like, obviously not enough. So, like, I'm not calling for that, but at the same time, like, we have to like throw them in prison and throw away the key. Like with due process, like we are better than them. We are going to have due process, court of law, but there are thousands of like literal Nazis that like want to like they don't want democracy. They don't want this liberal constitutional republic that the idea of America is. They literally want to turn it into the American empire, the technic of America. That's why they're invading. We did that military action against Venezuela. They want Greenland. They want Canada. They're looking at. I'm not joking. They're looking at drone striking Mexico for the drug cartels. They're expanding the global war on terror, mixing it with the drug war. There's no such thing as a narco-terrorist. That doesn't even make sense. You know who is a terrorist? Benjamin Netanyahu. And he's been here like 6 times since Trump's been president, and we haven't arrested that guy yet. So
and some folks on our side are happy to pal around with them and be seen taking pictures and yucking it up. It's extremely, extremely disappointing. Here's another one I wanted to ask. Where'd it go? I lost it. Okay, so listen, one of the things that, say, FDR knew is that if you wanted to fight fascism, you had to take care of people's material conditions. The fascism often comes from anger against a system that is not working for the regular people. You have to give them something productive to do. And you mentioned the Green New Deal earlier, but I think a lot of folks don't know necessarily what all that entails. And MX Light on YouTube asks, can you explain some of the specifics of the Green New Deal? I'm curious if the numbers need to be updated.
Right. So I don't have it in front. It's basically like, what can we do? It's yet again, how much do we win by is kind of the numbers we're talking about. The Green New Deal is as much as Fox News wants to slam it as like socialist utopia, it is literally just like the starting level that the EU basically has already done. It's like, hey, let's have a carbon tax. Let's have like somewhat of a jobs incentive program to have like bring manufacturing to develop these new technologies. It is very low. It's very like that is the building block of this, like what we need to do as a species, as a country. It's nothing crazy. Now I don't have like exact numbers, but like we can bring in a lot of jobs. That's all I'm saying. And we also need to, there's so many levels on it because like a lot of these factories nowadays are automated. So we also that this ties in why we need universal basic income and strong unions. So there's so many levels to that, but yeah, generally look up the AOC's Green New Deal. It got voted down, and it was such a basic starter plate. Like that is level 1. We should build on top of that. There's so much more to do outside of carbon taxing and small little grants and subsidies for industry on these sectors.
We've got to go big. We are the climate crisis is not a hoax. This is another thing we talked about this morning on the show. The Trump administration's rolling back regulations when we've known for 40 years that this was coming, and here we are seeing real-time effects of climate change now, and they're still denying it and saying it's a hoax. The time to do anything is really, really shrinking, and we got to go big or go home. And the Green New Deal can do that and give us productive things to do and really solve a lot of problems.
The planet is not just dying, it's getting murdered by the fossil fuel industry and the lobbyists that lobby our politicians. That Trump's first pick for the EPA, his first term, was literally the ExxonMobil CEO. And right now it's like some other big oil company guy. I don't remember his name. What they just did like this last week, completely, they're trying to gut the EPA. They're trying to take away the environmental protection out of the Environmental Protection Agency. There's like the Endangered Act clause or whatever it was. They're trying to get rid of it.
Yes. Yes. EPA no longer stands for Environmental Protection Agency under the Trump administration. It's more like the Environmental Punishment Agency or something to that effect. I had something better teed up and gone. Another one from Liliana. Would you use your platform and resources as a congressman to help state Democrats put pressure on corrupt officials such as our Governor Braun? I don't know exactly how that would work and what the rules are around it, but maybe Jackson, you do and could explain how you could use your platform in that regard.
Yeah, so the bully pulpit is something to wield. Donald Trump wields it every single day. And like, I'm not even elected, and I'm out there screaming at this guy every single day and like posting it online, letting people know about the issues, the bills that are going through the state house. As a congressperson, oh, you bet that I'm going to be out there screaming at these guys. Like, I view Braun and many others at like, you got to treat them like they are literally Hitler. Like, I was just testifying a bill, SB 76, about ICE. Like, they're trying to, bring in like more ICE power, like, in the state. Also HB 1443, they're like a National Guard bill. I'm in the National Guard. I'm not speaking for the department, but they're trying to give Braun his like 500 members of the military police. Also, they literally just criminalized houselessness. If they catch someone sleeping on the street, they are going to give them a warning. And then the second time, they're going to throw them in jail and have a $500 fine. They're literally trying to throw them in jail, throw everyone in jail that they find out on the streets instead of taking care of them. So these people are monsters, and I don't hold back. So yes, I will use the bully pulpit and my platform to boost up like state reps, and I've already done that. I've already been doing that as just a candidate, and that will continue to happen as your congressperson. I will boost up the fight both in state and federally, and it's what needs to be done. It's an organization. It's not me. It's us. It's up to everybody to help bolster the ranks of the Democratic Party and in the state house. And we need to fight back against fascism by any means necessary.
So I guess one of the reasons we've found ourselves in this fascist hellscape is because we've had 50 plus years now of essentially a corrupt far right-wing movement powered by money that has captured the mechanisms of government through Supreme Court cases like Bellotti and Buckley, and of course Citizens United, which is the big one. And the Boxcar Adventurer asks, once in office, how can or will your team keep the door of transparency open to allow the public to remain informed, so we know you don't become one of these guys that gets there and then becomes lured by the moneyed beast?
Yeah, so I'm not going to DC to make any friends. In fact, I will probably be in a, small bubble of actual progressive champions. I mean, it's a nation, like there's so many awesome candidates all across the nation. So, but I am a grassroots candidate, and this is a grassroots campaign. Once elected, like I'm not going anywhere to like please any special interest group other than the people of the 5th district. So you can be guaranteed that like we will stay up to date. Like, hey, this is the bill. This is my thoughts on it. For me, I want as close to I want like ballot referendums for like a lot of these bills, and then there's like, hey, the representatives are just like the border, like the guard, like the borders, like the left and right limits of like facilitating the debate. But so yes, we must be transparent. Being a grassroots candidate means that we will always, like by its nature, be like a servant of the people and not any special interest groups. Because if I say something crazy unpopular, you won't see Jackson Franklin's definitely not getting elected. Look at the way he just like this crazy guy. So I have a duty to serve the people. If I have a vote that most people don't like, all right, don't donate to me. But if I vote some way you do like and you see some the crazy opposition, please donate to me, because that's what democracy needs, is like people who are not bought by the Epstein class. We need people who are serving the working class.
So, Jackson, we talked a little bit ago about ICE and the militarized federal police and how they're problematic, to say the least. Well, that extends down to your local law enforcement as well. And as such, MX the Light on YouTube asks, what policies would you fight for in regards to police reform? For the record, I've been stopped and frisked for vaguely matching the description and had police come to my home for a welfare check. How do we make sure things like that don't go awry? They go awry far too often.
Yeah. So we need large police reform in this country. So, and that also includes, and obviously ending the disastrous war on drugs. They racially profile, people in, historically marginalized communities. And even though black people and white people smoke cannabis at the same rate, black people are 4 times more likely to get stopped and also get the charge of drug possession, and it's all to benefit like the big pharma industry because they see cannabis as a problem, and we have for-profit prison industry, because the 13th Amendment still, like, we still have slavery in this country. That's the thing a lot of people aren't awake to yet. But like the 13th Amendment, hey, no slavery unless you're incarcerated for a crime, and then we could enslave you all we want. But as far as for police reform goes, we there's so many things. I don't even know where to start. Well, we also need to make sure we have uphold due process. I know that's a big ICE thing, but these self-investigation, like, we need to definitely strengthen the investigate, because like, oh well, we investigated ourselves. It's like the IDF when they like commit a crime over in Gaza.
Yeah.
That's what our current police does. Like, oh well, we looked into it and our boys are clean. No, what? No, we need to have like effective tools and means for the people's justice to reign through, and yeah, whatever that looks like, I definitely be worth looking into and be support.
So I guess I want to riff on this a little bit and ask. I think a lot the left got blamed after the George Floyd protests and the backlash to that for adopting the phrase "abolish the police" or not abolish the police. It was defund the police. Now we're talking about abolish ICE, and you can hear the quote unquote normie libs shushing us and say, well, don't say those things. What is your stance on that in general? I think I know where you're going here.
Please remind the chat what year George Floyd happened, and also what election did we win after that?
Yeah, that was 2020, wasn't it?
It was 2020. Oh, did we win back the presidency? Did that tank up? Did we get Donald Trump? It seems like when we weren't saying that, that's when we lost. So and actually the libs are on our side. The libs are on the progressive side on this issue. Like, according to all the polls, I've talked to everybody. I've talked to thousands of people on this. They want us to abolish ICE. We are so fed up. Like, and yet again, I'm not going to compromise. Like, on like, hey, the Gestapo people, like, our boys in black with the red armbands, they're just doing their job. Uphold it. Like, and I saw someone who I'm running against say, like, while we respect the authorities, that the hard job of these immigration customs enforcement, I'm like, excuse you? We respect them now. All right, okay. I see you. I screenshotted that. Like, all right, this is going in the history books, buddy. But did we win? We said and guess what? It wasn't like a major Democratic platform. It was like I don't know if any congressperson said it. It was like candidates and activists that said it. And then it was like candidates in like unwinnable areas, I might add. And then maybe like one congressperson. But like on a national platform, it wasn't really said. But the ground game was there. Everyone was talking about it, and then we won. What happens if we lean into it? Like, like, hey, yeah, the Gestapo's there and they're trying to kill your neighbor and your family. We're against that. Or do you want to be like, guys, I respect their job of like kicking your teeth in and knocking your neighbor upside the head and shooting you in the back of the head. But like, guys, maybe we just let's go to the middle ground.
Do it by the books, right? Yeah.
People are tired of voting for the lesser of two evils. Why can't we just be good?
You love it. All right, here we go. This is a great username, by the way, on YouTube. Nana Nutmuffin asks, what was your I need to be the one to do this moment that finalized your decision to run?
I mean, so I've been in the space for 10 years. I got, Bernie Sanders is right here over my shoulder. He very much encouraged me to you know, he activated me, and as well as many people. And I might also mention, in my generation, he activated us. I knew that the system was bad, and he made me realize just how bad we uniquely have it in America. I'm like, oh my gosh, everyone else has universal health care, or paid family leave and time off work, like sick days. Why can't we? So my brother Julian, he looks exactly like me. If you've met him, he was the leading person that said, like, dude, you need to do this, because I mean, after all, there's so many things that built up to this crazy decision that we made, right? Like, it's not just one thing. It's like, we helped on campaigns. I was a policy advisor for a previous congressional campaign. I knocked on doors. I've done the phone calls, but I never thought I was going to be a candidate. But also, like, I got tired of seeing corporate conservative Democrats winning the nomination and then losing. And I'm like, oh my gosh, if you just ran on a popular message, like, it's that goes back to the Einstein quote, like, oh my gosh, how many times are we gonna run right into the iceberg, and just, like, we can see it from miles away. If we run a corporate conservative Democrat, we are going to lose. And I mentioned, even though there's no questions, I mentioned the genocide a lot in this interview, or this town hall, because listen, we lost last time. In my view, we lost young people for not mentioning the genocide. We got to mention that. All right. So, like, if literally 92% of the Democratic Party, the base, that is, of voters, call it a genocide. Genocide. They're not genocide deniers. And I'm the only candidate in this race that calls it that. I would be so happy to see if someone else did. But at this moment, I'm the only one in the state, the only congressional candidate in the whole state of Indiana that's endorsed by Citizens Against AIPAC. Why is that? It's because I'm very outspoken about this, and that's what it's needed to win. So, sorry, what was the, what was the original?
Well, no, it was what was your, I need to do this moment. And I think you pretty well.
Also, on the ambulance, I mentioned this a lot. So something that happened years ago is, I transferred people, I'm a paramedic. Back then I was an EMT, transferred people from the hospital back to their homes to die because they didn't have any health insurance. So, and those were veterans, people who already, like, risked their lives for this country. But it happens to every people from all different backgrounds, except if you're rich. Funny how that works. And I know that 120,000 Americans die every year due to lack of health care. It's not rich and poor equally. It's poor. It's us working people. So I've seen that, like, tell you, about an experience that radicalizes you against the system. It's watching your heroes die for a system that only benefits the parasitic, pedophilic elite and kills us working people. So there was a lot of things that got me to run. I saw trash, absolute monstrous candidates, pro-genocide candidates, win our nomination. And I got tired of losing. I'm tired of meeting republicanism with diet Republicans. We're going to win as Democrats when we fight like Democrats are supposed to, and we lead with our democratic values and stand up for the working class and not the Epstein class, these billionaire donors that buy both sides of the aisle. And mind you, like, if there are people in this race that are bought by, like, Duke Energy, by big healthcare, by realtors groups, by gambling lobbyist groups, and if we don't win the primary, I have very little hope we're going to win the general. You can't throw stones in a glass house. How can we call out Victoria Spartz for taking AIPAC money and supporting genocide if the candidate who supports genocide and maybe takes AIPAC money, who I'm waiting for the answer on that one, if they win, like, boom, you just lost the sharpest tool in your shed. So we have to have fighters, champions for the people's policy, and not servants to the billionaire oligarchs that are ruining this country. So that's why I'm running.
Very good. And listen, well timed. I think you did a fantastic job there. By my count, we have a little less now than 1 minute left. So I'm going to use that time to thank you, Jackson, for being here with us tonight, for taking questions from the people in the comment section. And thanks to all of you out there who have been watching, who have been asking very thoughtful questions. We appreciate that. I love it when we have these town halls, because I don't have to do as much work. You guys ask the questions. I love it. I just get to yak and push buttons. It's a good time. And I'd like to thank all of you for participating tonight. Again, thanks, Jackson, for being here one last time. Could use a subscription over at progressiveindiana.net. Help us out there. Oh, Jackson, so while we're asking people for money, where can folks find out more about your campaign?
Please go to jacksonfranklinforcongress.com to donate to this grassroots campaign. Sign up to volunteer. We're going to win with people power. They have corporate power. It's artificial. It's fake. They're supported by the establishment. We're going to win when we lead a grassroots movement that we're going to create a system that represents all people and not just that top 1%. So please go to jacksonfranklinforcongress.com. Please donate if you're able to. In politics, we say there's 3 T's: time, talent, and treasure. If you have the time, knock doors, talk to your friends, make phone calls. If you have a talent that you think is applicable to the campaign, you know it more than I can. So please reach out, go to our email at info@jacksonfranklinforcongress.com. And if you have the treasure, please donate. We're not going to raise $100,000 within 10 days of announcing, because we're not sellouts to the corporations that are ruining our politics. We serve the people. So can help us help you and join this movement. And together we will create a government of, by, and for the people, and create a system that places people over profits. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you very much. And again, thanks everybody for being here with us. Couldn't do it without you. Thanks again. Everybody have a great night. Thank you.
Peace. Take care.